years, for generations to come.
And welcome to another edition of the TDN Writers Room. My name is Bill Finley. I'm a correspondent for Thoroughbred Daily News, and also on Saturday mornings, I co-host the Down the Stretch show on Sirius XM Radio with Dave Johnson.
Hi there, I'm Randy Moss of NBC Sports, fresh off our telecast of the Haskell.
And a very good telecast it was indeed. I'm Zoe Cadman with First Racing and XBTV, and I am somewhere in the middle of the woods in a state park. So fortunately, we have internet, and we'll kick on from here. I know you wish you were here, guys, because you both look like you're really good campers.
Yeah, just watch out for the mosquitoes and the snakes, okay, Zoe?
I got Doodle for that. Doodle will take care of me.
Right. All right, gang. Well, obviously, the big story last weekend was the Haskell Stakes, where Randy Moss and the NBC crew wore at Monmouth Park. And, you know, on paper, it was a very good race. There were 8 horses in there. 6 were really legitimate top horses. The winner is Go Rocket Ride. Mike Smith, the jockey, will join us a little bit later, and we'll talk about that. He ran great. He's a good horse. He's right into the mix of the top 3-year-olds, a group that still, really, we don't know who number 1 is. There hasn't been a single horse yet to really step up and win 2 of these big races. But one of my observations, there's a lot to talk about here. I was actually a little bit disappointed by the Haskell. And the reason why is because between Arabian Night and Extra Anejo, we saw 2 horses, particularly Arabian Night, that we thought, wow, these might really be superstars going down the second half of the year, you know, potential Breeders' Cup Classic winners, horses that we could get really excited about. They both ran fine. Arabian Night, 3rd, beaten 3 3/4 lengths. Extra Anejo, 4th, beaten 5 3/4 lengths. But they didn't really live up to the hype or the sizzle. But I don't want to take anything away from Go Rocket Ride. Dick Mandela last ran in the Haskell 21 years earlier with Dixie Union, took off 21 years and came back and won it again with Go Rocket Ride.
Yeah, Mandela, perfect 2 for 2 now, lifetime in the Haskell. When he ships, you got to pay attention. And it's certainly pointed out that Go Rocket Ride is a legitimate contender in the 3-year-old division. They're not going to run in the Travers. No surprise, apparently back to California and the Pacific Classic at Del Mar. Then if all goes well, probably the Awesome again, and then the Breeders' Cup Classic. Mage, I thought, ran particularly well in defeat, especially since the storyline all week long from the Delgados was that he was not 100% ready for the race. You could also tell that from his workout pattern leading up to the race. So for him to put in the Mage kind of move that he did, to run up to Go Rocket Ride at the top of the stretch, I thought was a really good effort by Mage. He had a right to get a little bit tired at the end, and he did. I think it sets him up well for the Travers. Arabian Night, look, the one thing we didn't know about Arabian Night was how he was going to handle a situation if another horse blasted off and beat him to the early lead. 2 for 2 lifetime, so impressive, had never been behind another horse. In the afternoons, he had in the mornings, but as we all know, that can be a completely different scenario. And I just don't think he handled it well. I think he got way too aggressive. He got a little rank with John Velasquez. So I think it was the combination of fast early fractions, the fact that he didn't settle at all. And, oh, yeah, by the way, he hadn't run since January in the Southwest Stakes. I think the 3 of those things combined to take him down. And he was still only beaten 2 lengths by Mage for second. And as far as Extra Anejo is concerned, he was wide on both turns, but I just don't think that I was more disappointed in Extra Anejo probably than I was in Arabian Night, because I can look at the race and I can give Arabian Night an excuse the way the race was run, and you can visually watch him and see why he ran the way he ran. Extra Anejo, I don't think you can really come up with that much of an excuse. He was back early, but the pace was fast. Tapit Trice was Tapit Trice, you know, the underachieving kind of horse that he's always been, a little reluctant, no early speed at all. I was disappointed in him as well. I thought he would put in a little bit more of a run than he put in.
Yeah. The winner was brilliant as far as I was concerned. Go Rocket Ride. This is a horse who showed his mettle with a very, very game run in the Santa Anita Derby. In just, I think, his second lifetime start with Flaviana aboard him that day. He's always been a good horse. He's obviously had a few little issues, a few little hiccups along the way. It was good to see him win. it was really cool to see him win for Jim and Dana Bernhardt, who have brought to life Pin Oak Stud. And I think that's the story here with Pin Oak, because I'm not sure they were expecting it to come along quite as quickly as it has. First horse that they bought, Go Rocket Ride. Now it looks like you're making a stallion for the farm that you bought right after the horse. I mean, it's a fantastic story for the pair of them. I love the fact that Mike Smith was aboard him. He rode him like he was riding the best horse. Now, Mike will tend to go a little bit wide usually and keep a horse out of trouble. But I think with a lightly raced horse like him, he rode him the right way. As far as Arabian Night was concerned, I'm not buying he was a short horse off his 6 months off. Bob Baffert does not send a short horse to the Haskell. I will buy that he's unseasoned. And I think we saw that from him, the unseasoning. 22-4, Johnny V was able to rein him back into a 24-1 quarter, but maybe he just expanded too much energy in that opening quarter, and that's purely what did him in. If he was as good as I thought he was, maybe he should have overcome that. I don't know, but I'm not buying that he was a short horse coming in for Bob Baffert. All in all, Mage ran a bang-up race, and it's so often nowadays we see these grade 1 stakes with 4 or 5 mediocre horses and short fields. This was a really good race. A really, really good race. No, we won't see Go Rocket Ride in the Travers. We'll probably likely see him back at Santa Anita, but it really gives you something to look forward to. And it's cool to see Mike Smith. I'm excited to talk to him later.
And being at Monmouth, Bill, I know you're very familiar with Monmouth. What was nice to see, and you see it every year, Haskell time, but it's still the same. As the day progresses, the crowd gets bigger and bigger. And by the time the Haskell was run, the place was absolutely packed with young people. My daughter was there doing some work for the NBC telecast, and she was amazed at the people her age, she's college age, that had come in off the beach probably and were at Monmouth for the Haskell. It was really a nice vibe, as the Haskell almost always is.
So we keep asking the same question throughout all these races. Now we've got the Jim Dandy up next. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. Then, of course, the Travers and the Pennsylvania Derby. Who is the best 3-year-old? I mean, I have no idea. I keep waiting for someone to answer that question. I mean, Mage could have answered that question. Arabian Night could have answered that question. I mean, Go Rocket Ride's in the mix, but, he's got just the one major win. Randy, what are we going to be talking about later on in the year? Supposedly, maybe after the Travers. Who's the star of this division? Who's the horse that is going to be the one we're all going to be talking about later on?
Hands down, the star of the division's Two Phils. Unfortunately, he's retired, so we won't see him again. I think it's wide open. I really do. I'm fascinated in the Jim Dandy to see. Well, and we'll talk about that later, to see how Forte runs with blinkers on. See if that makes a difference a little bit in his kind of stop and go way that he's been running lately. But I think there's a lot left to be written. Zoe, you have a strong opinion?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Two Phils, because horse racing is such what have you done for me lately sport. I'd already forgotten about Two Phils. By the time Eclipse Sport voting comes around, people will be like, Two who? Who's that guy? And it's just such a shame.
You're right.
That he was so good early in the year, and he's likely going to be forgotten about by the end of the year. If he had the same resume at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year that he had at the beginning, he's probably going to be on everybody's mindset. But right now, they're going to be like, oh, Two who? Two who? There may be another one that pops in on the radar by then. I don't know who the top 3-year-old will be. I think we're just going to let it play out and hope that they're all running in the Classic at the end of the year, because that could be a terrific race. They're still got to get there as well.
Yeah, Two Phil's body of work, a good horse, but he's not an Eclipse Award contender. Not off winning the Ohio Derby. Come on now, guys. All right. So anyways, let's switch gears to the 3-year-old filly division. The Coaching Club American Oaks was run on Saturday. Wet Paint rebounded off a kind of a mediocre effort, I would say, in the Kentucky Oaks, and gets to the winner's circle for Brad Cox. Randy, one thing, there's been a story about this division all year long. These horses are slow. nobody can crack even a 90 buyer, an 89 buyer for Wet Paint. And, this isn't into July of their 3-year-old year. They should be cracking the mid 90s, maybe the high 90s by now. But nonetheless, in this division right now, she took a major step forward. But I just, every time I look at the numbers come out of this, I just think where are the fast horses in this division?
Well, look, with any speed figures, buyer speed figures included, you got to kind of take a look at the way the race was run, et cetera, et cetera. It was an 89 buyer speed figure. I'm going to view the Coaching Club American Oaks going forward as exactly what you wanted it to be, as like about a 94, 95, 96 caliber performance on the speed figure scale. I mean, they were 8.5 lengths clear, Wet Paint and Sacred Wish, in a fairly slow-paced race of Gambling Girl, who had been made the 6-5 favorite. She's Looking Lucky was right there next to Gambling Girl. She'd come off a big effort in the mid-80s or so in her last start at Ellis Park. So I thought it was a really good effort by Wet Paint. It's not going to, vaulter into clear number one status among the 3-year-old fillies, but I thought it was a return to form for her.
I thought visually the race was fantastic for her. Never mind the figure. She was so far back. Right. She ate an awful lot of dirt. I think you've got to toss the figure out of the window right now and just take the race on its merits for how this filly ran into a fairly tepid pace up front. She got a terrific ride by Pratt. Yes, she only won by a neck, but she didn't have things her own way like the horses up there on the front end. I thought she ran superbly. 6 fillies have won the CCA Oaks and gone on and won the Alabama, including Nest, Songbird, and Questing. So she's got big shoes to fill. It looks like she'll run in the Alabama next. Let's just not forget that Godolphin also have Pretty Mischievous, top 3-year-old as well, and she's going to target the grade 1 test. They're going to try and split these two up. But I thought it was a great race by Wet Paint, and it was good to see her win on a big stage because she's just been pushing the envelope thus far, and we'll see what she's got in the next start.
Well, speaking of Nest, I thought she was the star of the weekend. Only 4 horses in the Shoe V. Yes, let's take that into context. But the big one was in there. It was, essentially on paper, a match race between her and Clairiere. Clairiere has been so good this year. Nest's first start since the Breeders' Cup Distaff way back in November. And, speaking of, you say Bob Baffert always has him ready. Todd Pletcher always has him ready, doesn't run short horses. She was just really good off the layoff, and she wins by 2 1/4 lengths, and it was really no contest. Clairiere, she had to close and had to try to catch Nest, but there was nothing too terrible about her trip. Just think she got beat by who was on that day a better horse, and I think the Pletcher Rapoli camp, along with Aaron Wellman, should be very happy with that performance and looking forward to a really strong run to the Breeders' Cup Distaff from Nest.
Oh, yeah. Nest and Clairiere, both daughters of Curlin. I think they're outstanding fillies, and they're clearly, I think, the number 1 and number 2 females on the East Coast. We got Adair Manor on the West Coast, trained by Bob Baffert. And, of course, the Breeders' Cup this year is at Santa Anita. So it's a fascinating setup if all these horses stay sound. And maybe Secret Oath can find her mojo again by the time the Breeders' Cup Distaff rolls around. Now, pace, I think, was a consideration in this race. Very slow, 49 4/5 seconds early. So that gave Nest a bit of a tactical advantage over Clairiere. When they ran against each other last, and there was some pace in the race, was in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, where Clairiere finished 3rd, was 3 lengths ahead of Nest. I happen to think Nest, for whatever reason, did not nearly run her race in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. If you look at her race last year in the Coaching Club American Oaks, if you look at her race in the Beldame, and then you look at the Shoe V, to me, she's the best older mare in America when she's on top of her game. So I really loved her race on this past weekend as well.
She just looked terrific. She looked as fit as a fiddle in the paddock. Now, they're both daughters of Curlin, right? Clairiere is a big, bulky, she looks like a colt. Nest is beautifully refined. She just prances around the paddock like a ballerina. She's trained terrifically going up to this race. And I think now as a 4-year-old, she's got it all together. And I'm not sure she'll get beat again this year. I thought her race was absolutely terrific. Now, I went by the barn the next day and ran into Erin Wellman at the barn. And Ness did, I have to say, she did look a little bit tired. She still, was acquiescing with us and sticking her head out and putting her ears forward. But you could see it in her eyes that she had laid it down on the line. It was a terrific day for Eclipse Thoroughbreds. They also won with Anisette down in Del Mar and the San Clemente. But then they were a little bit disappointed. They had a very nice 2-year-old filly called Camera who disappointed the same day as well. But 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I mean, who's going to complain about that? Camera can come back again. But Nest, for me, absolutely terrific. I really, really enjoyed that race. And I don't think Clairiere really lost anything in defeat. But I think maybe this year Nest is just a little bit better. The TDN Writers' Room is brought to you by Keeneland. Nest. We already just spoke about her. The winner of the Grade 2 Chuvy Stakes at Saratoga was a Keeneland September sale grad. She sold for $350,000, which looks like an absolute steal right now in the 2020 Keeneland September sale. Ness made her 4-year-old return, a winning one in the Chuvy. Keeneland is home of the world's yearling sale. The energy, magic, and momentum of the September yearling sale returns on September the 11th through the 23rd. I'll be there. And don't forget, August 1st is the entry deadline for the 2023 November breeding sale. We'll be right back after this message from Keeneland.
If this place could talk, it would roar. It would say, "This is racing." This beating heart in the heart of horse country. Steady and strong beneath the roar, reminding us why. For the love of the horse, for generations to come.
This week, we welcome a new advertiser. We've had them once before, and here they are again, Stone Street Farm. Stone Street Breds won 2 races this week when Driana broke her maiden at Ellis Park, and Second ID took an allowance race at Gulfstream. Look for 4 Stone Street Bred yearling colts selling at Saratoga August 7th and August 8th. Hit number 77 by Quality Road from the family of Santa Anita Derby winner Dortmund. Hip 92, they're selling them all together, a Speightstown colt from the family of graded stakes winner Uncaptured, and hip 135, an intermischief colt out of Rachel Alexandra's Grade 1 winning daughter, Rachel's Valentina. One more, hip number 183 is a colt by Authentic, who is a half-brother to Grade 1 Met Mile winner, Silver State. The guiding focus of Stone Street is to breed and develop quality thoroughbreds with strength, stamina, and class. Stone Street, born to run, raised to win.
The fastest horse of the week is brought to you by the Fast Stallions at Windstar Farm, such as Nashville. Look at his career record as a racehorse chronologically. As a 2-year-old at Saratoga in one of those tough maiden races, he wins by 11.5 lengths to become a TDN Rising Star. November 7th, 2020 at Keeneland, set a track record, 6 furlongs, 107.89. That was Breeders' Cup Day, almost a full second faster than the sprint later in the day. And then March 2022, he runs the fastest 6 furlongs at the Fairgrounds meet, 108.61. He ran faster than 44 seconds flat for a half mile 3 different times, won 2 of those. We're talking speeds. Off to a fast start as a stallion as well. 204 mares bred in his first book, 91% of those checking in full. You're looking for speed, and who isn't? Nashville stands at Windstar Farm. Now, this week's Horse of the Week. Here's a new one for you. An Iowa bred winning an allowance optional claiming race at Prairie Meadows on a Thursday. His name, Topper T, went to the lead in that optional claiming race, won it by 18 3/4 lengths, a modest buyer speed figure of 110 for Topper T. By far, obviously, the highest of his career. Previous high was 92. He had won 3 of his last 4 starts for trainer Jan Arnett. Son of Bellamy Road Bellamy Road, of course, best known for winning the Wood Memorial by 17.5 lengths. So those big margins must run in the family. And here's something I thought was interesting. In that optional claiming race at Prairie Meadows, was a 6-horse field. Only 2 horses in that 6-horse field were entered to be claimed for $30,000. Topper T was one of the 2, but no one went in for him. And so he goes out there and runs a 110 Beyer speed figure. Topper T, 110 Beyer, the fastest horse of the week.
Gotta love those Iowa breds. Congratulations to Topper T. So last week on the podcast, we had Lisa Lazarus on as a Green Group guest of the week. And I give her credit for a lot of the things that she said and the way she handled herself, because rather than being defensive, she admitted that Hyza/Haiwu had made some mistakes in their rollout, particularly when it involved interarticular injections. And she basically said, yeah, we didn't get some things right. We're going to go back to the drawing board and we're going to vow to do better going forward. But at the same time, she said that when it comes to the provisional suspensions, I think their words were, and I hope, I'm paraphrasing, but it was something to the effect that I'm a big fan of the provisional suspensions. And what that means is when a horse tests positive for a banned substance, something that's on their banned substance list, the trainer is immediately suspended, and then the process goes from there. They're suspended before the split sample comes back and before they've had a chance to appeal and have a hearing. Now, it's a kind of a cliche, but it really does fit here. You're talking about a system where somebody is guilty until proven innocent. And this week, we saw why this is a problem and why I think this is absolutely something they have to change. Trainer Mac McLean Robertson, leading trainer every year, it seems, at Canterbury, got a provisional suspension after a horse of his tested positive for something called altrinogist. He was provisionally suspended. He had no starts after July 2nd. Lo and behold, last week, they came back with the split sample, and the referee lab could not find the medication in the horse, and he was exonerated. But he went from July 2nd to July 21, shut down, didn't run any horses. I can only imagine what the mental toll was on him, not knowing what was going to happen, whether or not he was going to get a 2-year suspension, which you can get. We saw some similar things that happened with the New York trainer Ray Handel. And, here's what Robertson had to say about this. He says, this is about as un-American as you get. Everyone in racing should oppose it. All Americans should oppose it. And look, I've said before, Hyza needed to do something so that we don't have these things take 2 years. But they're going overboard here, and the Mac Robertson case shows why. This guy didn't deserve to have 3 weeks on the sidelines when he, in hindsight, really doesn't appear that he did anything wrong. This is something they need to change.
I don't have as much of a problem with it, Bill.
Okay.
I really don't. People have for years been saying that it's time to come down hard on cheaters, that the sport is not hard enough on cheaters, that it's time to come down on trainers that have a positive test or medication overage, either for a banned substance or therapeutic medication, and appeal. And then 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, something's finally done about it. And then it's all watered down. I think people were really tired of all that. And I think that's one of the reasons why there was such momentum behind Hyza. Other equine sports have provisional suspensions. And in this situation, I think it worked. It was 19 days. Yeah, it's not ideal. It's not, you would rather even be faster than 19 days. But I thought it was handled fairly expeditiously. In the vast majority of cases, a split sample is going to verify the original sample. In this case, it didn't. And I thought the wheels of justice worked pretty quickly. And it's unfortunate that it happened to Mac Robertson, but he was exonerated and he was able to get back to business. When it works with someone who uses a banned substance and the split sample verifies that it was a banned substance, I think in that case, we would probably be cheering it. So I don't have as much of a problem with it. Maybe it will need to be tweaked. That's part of what this whole process is. They said that, Lisa Lazarus and others said that about Haiwu and about Heisa before we even enacted this, that there were going to be, it was going to be a learning curve. There were going to be some missteps. There are going to be some things that needed to be tweaked. Maybe this can be tweaked to make it even better. But I don't have as much of a problem with it. I really don't.
Maybe
I'm a little
I just want to interject one thing in there. And you said, use the word cheaters. And look, everybody wants to get the cheaters and want to get them now. And you want to deal with them in the most severe way possible. But nothing about this story. I mean, I don't follow Canterbury Downs racing. I don't know a whole lot about this guy other than he wins a lot of races. But nothing from the start of this, there was nothing to suggest that he is a quote unquote cheater, especially after the split sample came back negative. So if you want to go out and get the Jorge Navarros of the world and the Jason Services, go get them. But, there's some people here that are being dealt with very harshly when I just don't think the punishment and the crime fit one another. All right, so tomorrow, this is being recorded on a Tuesday. Tomorrow, Wednesday, I will be in a courtroom in Manhattan. No, I didn't do anything wrong, but I will be there.
Good.
Yes. I have not been provisionally suspended either, so I'm allowed to work tomorrow. But I will be there to cover the latest and one of the last chapters in the very ugly occurrences that started back all the way in March 2020. Jason Service is being sentenced on Wednesday, so we obviously don't know what's happening on Tuesday. What the sentence is going to be, though. It looks like it's going to be about 4 years, and we'll report on it. My story will be in the Thoroughbred Daily News on Thursday. But in the meantime, the pre-sentence submission the government put in to it goes to the judge, and then she takes that into consideration. There was some really interesting stuff in there about it said the owner of the horse, so presumably it's either Gary or Mary West, but since Gary seems to be kind of the lead person in the West partnership, I assume that it was emails back and forth between Jason Service and Gary West, and it just shed some light on the whole thing. And Gary West, I don't think in a million years he was implying that Service was doing anything along the lines of what he was caught doing. But he was so concerned about dotting every I, crossing every T, and being squeaky clean in the race in Saudi Arabia that this is from T.D. Thornton's report. He says, the email chain started with the owner cautioning Service that over there, they might consider a sugar cube illegal. The owner then stated, if you need any help figuring out the rules, I will gladly pay for you to get whatever advice you need. Service then replies, sounds good, just an FYI. Max has never been on anything out of the ordinary. As soon as he said that, like Pinocchio, his nose expanded about 6 feet out from his face. The owner then wrote back, Jason, consult whoever you need to consult to be 100% certain we don't have any kind of accidental drug violation. If you had to feed Max just hay and organic carrots for a month before the race, do that too. I would feel horrible to win a life-changing race like this for everyone, only to find out we didn't do something right because we didn't know. I'll gladly pay for any reasonable consulting work we need to have done to be sure that we are, quote unquote, squeaky clean for the race. So not only you don't have to say allegedly anymore, do you? He's confessed, and he's already been found guilty. So not only was Jason Service juicing the horse, he was lying to the West about it and lying through his teeth about it. And still another thing, this happened 3 years and 3 months ago, and we still haven't heard from the Saudi Jockey Club about what the heck they're going to do with the purse. What are they waiting for? Service is on his way to jail. He's pled guilty. Nobody is disputing that this horse was given drugs throughout his career. What more are they hoping to find out? I don't know.
And Gary West, the owner of Maximum Security, has encouraged and even implored the Saudi officials to distribute the purse to the runner-up, to Midnight Bisou, right? And they still haven't.
Yes.
I mean, It's great to be able to run a $20 million race and not even pay the winner. Maybe that's what they're doing here. I don't know. And the judge, Bill, that's going to be sentencing Service is the same judge that's been hearing all these cases, Mary Kay Vicasel, and looking at all the transcripts, which are just fascinating to read the back and forth, not just between the emails, Service and Gary West, but between Service and Navarro and some of the veterinarians and Service and his assistant. The notion that that Service's legal team is trying to put forth pre-sentencing, that he was manipulated by veterinarians, does not hold water when you read the transcripts. I think he's going to be in big trouble when it comes to sentencing.
Well, he's going to be spending the next several years in the Gray Bar Hotel. Certainly, that's going to be the outcome. And this Mary Kay Vicasel, she is a badass. I've been in a couple of these courtrooms. She does not take any you-know-what from these people, and she does not show them much mercy. So Jason Service is definitely on his way to prison, and looks like, we'll know more, obviously, when later on in the week. And by the time you're seeing this podcast, we'll probably have the news out that it looks like he's going to get about 4 years in prison. So, and I think well-deserved anyways.
Sounds like you'll have an interesting time in the old courthouse. Meanwhile, on a more positive note, the TDN Writers Room is also brought to you by the Pennsylvania Horse Breeders Association. The PA Bred Stakes Program this year, 2023, consists of 29 stakes worth over $4 million. That's just for Pennsylvania breds alone, so it's a big deal. And we've talked a lot about Pennsylvania breds Caravel and Angel of Empire. Well, there is a new Pennsylvania bred graded stakes winner. Her name is Roses for Deborah. She just won the Grade 3 Caress Stakes at Saratoga. She's 6 for 8 lifetime now. That was her first graded stakes win. She is trained by Christophe Clement. We'll be back after this message from the PHBA.
The PA Horse Breeders Association presents the Pennsylvania Stallion Series. 6 races for PA sired, PA bred 2-year-olds at Parks. 2 $100,000 contests at 5.5 furlongs. On August 21st, PA Day at the races. September 23rd, PA Derby Day has 2 races at 6.5 furlongs, both with a $150,000 purse. And in December, 2 races going long, each worth $200,000. For more, go to pabred.com.
The Saratoga Minute is brought to you by Naira Bets. Disarm is being pointed for the Jim Dandy Stakes. Gunite is being pointed for the Vanderbilt. They are both sons of Gunrunner. And in this week's edition, our Katie Petruniak caught up with the trainer of Disarm and Gunite, Steve Asmussen.
Disarm, I think one of my favorite qualities about him is how much he looks like Gunrunner. The markings, the color, and definitely his head. But, talented horse, 4th in this year's Derby. Come out of that with a nice win in the Matt Win. But nice group assembled for the Jim Dandy this week, and obviously we're hoping to have success here at Saratoga this summer with him. And Gunite, he is... Gunrunner's, won the hopeful here from his initial crop, and has always run extremely well here at Saratoga with his win last year in the Amsterdam, and also we talked the hopeful win as a 2-year-old, and he's coming off probably his fastest race ever with his win at Churchill. And so, get to run against Elite Power again, and Gunite's seen the best, and it doesn't bother him.
Again, the Saratoga Minute brought to you by Naira Bets. You can sign up now for Naira Bets and get a matching deposit of up to $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Make a deposit within 30 days of signing up for your account. Bet twice that amount of your initial deposit, and you will receive a wagering credit equal to the amount of your original deposit. Just sign up with promo code SPA, S-P-A, 200 to get your deposit match today. The TDN Writers Room brought to you by The Green Group, a tax accounting and advisory firm specializing in the thoroughbred industry and designed to save you taxes.
And we welcome in now the Green Group guests of the week, Big Money, Mike Smith, who got the big money Saturday in the Haskell Award Go Rocket Ride, winning for trainer Dick Mandela, fellow Hall of Famer. Mike, thanks for joining us here on the Green Group Guests of the Week segment. And first of all, tell us the background of how you got this mount. You weren't his regular rider until the Haskell. I understand you worked him a bunch of times too. So what did you learn?
Had my eye on this colt for quite a while, really. He's just, if you've seen him, which you probably did, he's just such a good-looking horse. The only thing that Flavian beat me to the punch early on and breezed him before I ever got a chance to. So, of course, he rode him first time out, and he won, very impressive. And then come right back after that and run a really good second in the stake race to the really nice colt of Tim Yak Teams. And then after that, I thought maybe there was a chance I could get on him, but Ramon Vasquez wind up on him and won the stake on him. And I'm not exactly sure. You'll have to talk to Mr. Mandela or Ramon and ask him why he didn't show up there. But for whatever the reason was, I was glad he didn't. And when I got the call that I was going to get to ride him a couple of weeks out, I was just beside myself because I thought all along he was talented as it was. And there's just so much room to get better, to improve. And in working him, I could see that.
So Saturday at Monmouth, Mike, you were breaking from post position number 1 on Go Rocket Ride. Bafford's big favorite, Arabian Night, was breaking from the outside. Looked like on paper Arabian Night might have an early speed advantage. I'm guessing you probably went into the race thinking you might have to do some of the dirty work to try to keep Bafford's horse honest. Take us through what you were thinking as the gate opened, run to the first turn, and then as the race progressed.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Then that was a game plan going in. I talked to me and Mr. Mandela went over the race, and we thought, out of the one hole, we need to go ahead and let him run out of there, let him run into that first turn, and not just give the lead up to Arabian Night. But I also thought there was some other speed in there as well that could maybe push him, and I was hoping maybe something like that would happen. And it did. The two horse, really left there well running, and I could tell early on that he was going to try and make the lead and hoping that being a long shot that no one would push him. And then the outside broke extremely well as well. And they kind of moved forward. I was able to put enough distance in between those two and the horses behind me just to slide on out. And man, when that happened, I was able to put my hands down and just give them a chance to relax. And anyway, they were running right along. I knew they were because Michael was pretty quick as it was. And I let him run out of there. So when they opened up two on me, I knew they were running fast enough.
Mike, when you ride a horse for Hall of Famer Dick Mandela, you've also ridden for Hall of Famer Bob Baffert. You could see that Johnny V was absolutely loaded. I mean, Mandela even said, man, that guy's got his feet on the dashboard. What's the mindset going into a race like this, riding for Dick and knowing you're up against perhaps one of the best in the game in Hall of Famer Bob Baffert?
I mean, yeah, anytime you race against, Bob, his horses are ready. Even though he was lightly raced and hadn't running quite a while, I know Bob's going to have him ready. He's not going to ship him all the way over there, not needing one, which he still probably could have. I mean, he has a right to have gotten tired. But I'm also riding for Mr. Mandela, who's just an incredible horseman. You just ride with extra confidence when you get the opportunity to ride for him. You really do. And I knew he had his colt ready because I've been working him with him, and getting the chance to breeze him a few times really helped me to know him a little bit. And I knew he was ready to run well. Honestly, I knew he was a talented colt. I didn't know he was that good. he surprised me. I mean, Mage came at me with a full head of steam heading for home. And I thought, wow, you're going to have to show me something that I don't know if you have or not. And man, I mean, he just put me back in the seat when that colt got up to him and just opened up. And I was extremely impressed. I think you guys could agree that, I mean, this was the deepest Haskell I've seen in a long time. I mean, usually you'll see one horse that stands out or whatever, but there were 5 in there. They wouldn't have been surprised whatsoever if 5 or 6 of them in there that could have won. So for him to put away a field like that and draw away at the end, going a mile 8, certainly shows us that he should get the mile and a quarter and that he beat a really good bunch of horses.
Mike, is that extra gratifying? Because I can remember talking to you one morning at Santa Anita and you're like, Zoe, I'm trying to get on that colt of Mandela's. You chased this guy down. You didn't get to ride him because Ramon did last time. But how gratifying is that for you? Your first grade 1 of the year on a colt that I think in the back of your mind, you knew he was pretty damn good. to get the win?
I've liked him for a long time. It kind of reminds me of a situation that happened a few years back with a colt called Omaha Beach that I liked a whole lot early on, and Flavian was riding. Fortunate for me, he was also riding another really talented colt for Hollendorfer, and he chose that horse in the stake at Oaklawn Park, and I was able to pick up Omaha Beach, and he just got better and better and better. And that's the thing, when you ride for Mr. Mandela, they're going to get better each and every race. So if you can catch one young like that and early, there's no telling how good this colt could turn out to be.
Mike, you won 2 the day before at Del Mar. You won on Saturday in the Grade 1 Haskell. You have 16 winners on the year, and your mounts have been very limited. Is that by design, or are you a little bit dissatisfied with the level of business you've been getting this year?
I would have to go to the dissatisfied part, Bill. Just waiting for the right kind of horses, and out here in California, we got a little shortage of horses, so it's gotten a little tougher, but I just had to start getting out in the morning and working a little bit and try and build up some day business just to keep me fit and keep me around and not let people forget about me. And I did that and was able to get some business built up a little bit, and it started out to me pretty good so far. And that always helps leading into a big race, when you can start to meet out big and win a couple, and just gave me a little extra confidence, made me feel like I still got it.
So this question is coming. Every interview you have now, this question is going to come up, right? You turned 58 on August the 10th. You're obviously still capable, as we saw Saturday, of riding at a high level. But how much longer do you think you can keep doing this? How much longer do you want to keep doing this?
I'm really enjoying getting the opportunity to ride horses like Go Rocket Ride. I mean, as long as my body tells me I can do it, and so far, Randy, I mean, it hadn't let me down. I started. If I did, like I've been saying for years, if I did anything right in my career, was I really took up physical fitness at an early age instead of playing golf and running around. And on my days off, I work 10 times harder than when I actually have to when it's time to ride. So I'm really, really in good shape. I'm fit. I run anywhere from 5 to 8 miles a day, train with my trainer, personal trainers, an hour a day. And I do this on my day off all the time. And I don't go out to lunch until I get it done. And I've been doing it now probably for about a good 25, 30 years straight. I'm in incredible shape for my age. So as long as I can stay healthy and not get any injuries, I don't see why I couldn't finish the year out. Maybe another good hard year. We'll see what happens after that. I mean, I'm basically retired now. It ain't like I'm doing a whole lot. Look at me. Why would I give this up? I mean, I still get to compete at that level, and there's just nothing like riding a great horse. I just love horses so much. I don't want to. I'd be silly to give this up.
Well, Mike, what does a typical day look like? Because you most genuinely are the fittest guy in the room. Take me through your routine, and perhaps I can almost see your guns like busting through that shirt of yours right now. I know the guys aren't watching, but I am. So take us through your day.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Made me feel good. But I do my own my cardio. I like to run. I like to just put my headset on, my ear iPods, and just go for, like I said, a good anywhere from a 3 to 5 mile run early. I'll head to the gym at noon and hook up with my personal trainer, and we'll do a pretty good workout today for about an hour. I'll come back and have lunch with my wife. We'll hang out a little bit, and then I'll run again before dinner. And then that's it.
Twice? You run twice a day?
Twice a day you run?
I've run it twice, and I've gotten my weight down so good and so natural. I mean, I was able to tack 19 the other day, pretty nice. And man, I hadn't done that in a while. Been that natural, where I just showed up and I was already that light. Usually I have to pull the weight to get there. And just doing this twice a day running and just switched up my eating and not picking after dinner so much. I'm a big cereal guy after dinner. So I kind of stopped that and started this 2 days, twice a day running with a workout in between. And man, it just dropped off me. I'm about 116, 115 now naturally, and I hadn't done that in quite a while, and it's allowed I'm limber. I feel real good, so I'm just going to keep this up until my body can't take that no more.
Mike, I tell my friends, if you ever see me running, call the police because somebody is behind me, they're chasing me, and they probably have a gun.
Listen, Randy, I'm not running very fast. Yeah, I'm going out there and I'm running 6-minute miles. I ain't doing nothing like that. They're anywhere from 9 to 10-minute miles, just nice and slow. I love running hills. So I run up here in Carlsbad. We got a lot of hills, and I just love running up hills real slow. And man, the endurance that it gives you is just amazing.
Mike, if you play your cards right, who knows, you might be the next Randy Moss. How did you do? So you made your network television debut on the Fox broadcast of the Belmont Stakes. Grade yourself. How do you think you did?
Maybe a C+. I got room to grow, but I enjoyed it enough that I know that I'll put the effort in. A bit nervous early on, not knowing the cameras and where to look and how to look, and not used to someone talking in your ear as you're talking. And so it was and we were supposed to rehearse, but I don't know if you remember, Bill, they had that smoke was going on, and we didn't get to rehearse on Friday. So man, I just went straight in without even rehearsing or anything. And it was like I said, it was a little nerve wracking the first 10, 15 minutes. And then I kind of settled down. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It made me feel good. It still made me feel part of the game. And that's something I would really like to do, whenever it's time to hang the saddle up.
You know what the hardest part is, Mike? And you probably got a glimpse of this. It's saying what you want to say in the time that you're given to say it.
It's given 10 seconds. And you know me, I like to tell a little bit of a story. So I'm just trying to figure out how to shorten it all, and just get it out there. And was a little nerve wracking for me, but I'll work at it and get better at it. I watch a lot, man. I watch you guys all the time, so I'm learning.
Well, we genuinely look forward to seeing you on more broadcasts, but not too soon because you're not retiring anytime soon.
I'm not done yet. I'm not even close to done yet.
I have one last question. If you could ride any race over again, whether you won or you lost, what would it be and who was it on?
Zenyatta, without a doubt, the last time I rode her. And I don't know if I could have done anything different. I'm not sure, win or lose, but I know I finished second beating the nose, and I want one more shot at it. I just can't let that race go, man. I've tried hard, but I still cry about it. I just can't get over it.
Wow. I think that might have been the best race she ever ran.
And it could have been, Randy. It was in defeat. I think she truly showed how good she really was. I think, a lot of people, she ran against a lot of times the same horses out here in California. And although she did ship, she went to Oaklawn a couple of times and just absolutely loved the dirt. I actually think she loves the dirt more than she did synthetic, to be honest with you. But man, I think she truly showed how good she was to be that far back and only come up a nose short against that field in the Classic was just incredible.
Gut wrench.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for your insights. Congratulations on the big money, Mike Smith, big money Haskell. You came through with a great ride on Go Rocket Ride. And I'm going to set the over under on how much longer you'll ride at 4 years. What do you think?
That's pretty good. I like that, Bill.
Okay. All right.
And Mike, don't get too good at this TV thing, okay? Just kind of dial it back. It's just a little bit.
Well, I already got the look going. I got the Randy Moss look going. So.
Very good. I think maybe Jerry Bailey needs to worry a little bit more than you, Randy, but very good.
I don't think none of you guys have to worry. I'll be happy just to get a chance.
Very good. Well, Mike, thanks so much for your insights and spending a few minutes with us today on the TDN Writers Room podcast. Once again, congratulations on the Haskell win.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
As this week's Green Group Guest of the Week, Big Money Mike Smith will receive a free 1-hour tax consultation between jogs, I'm sure. For more information on how the Green Group can save you taxes, visit www.greenco.com.
Are you paying too much in taxes? The Green Group can help. There's a reason the most successful owners, breeders, and horsemen select the Green Group as their tax advisors. They save you money and share successful strategies. Over the past 40 years, the Green Group founder, Len Green, has owned and bred some of the best racehorses in the history of the sport, like Eclipse Award-winning champions Jaywalk and Wonder Wheel. His DJ stable competes at the highest level and has received the game's most prestigious honors. Len Green's in-depth, hands-on industry knowledge, combined with cutting-edge tax-saving strategies, has produced positive results for his clientele and has made the Green Group the top-rated accounting and tax firm in the thoroughbred business. For a confidential and complimentary consultation, contact us at 732-634-5100 or visit our website at www.greenco.com. The Green Group, proven strategies to save you taxes.
With some of the fullest fields in the country and quality racing year-round, there's never been a better time to reap the rewards of breeding and racing in Kentucky. Purse money in Kentucky is at an all-time high, as is average purse per race, outpacing California, Florida, and New York. Kentucky breds. Breed them, raise them, race them. We all win.
Grade 1 winners are bred in Kentucky. Kentucky Breds won 2 Grade 1 events on Saturday when Go Rocket Ride took the Grade 1 Haskell at Monmouth Park, earning a berth in the $6 million Breeders' Cup Classic, and Wet Paint scored in the Grade 1 Coaching Club American Oaks at Saratoga. Breed them, race them, we all win. Another big weekend of racing with big races at both Del Mar and Saratoga. We've been talking a lot about the 3-year-olds. We talked to Mike Smith about Go Rocket Ride, and we talked, of course, about him winning the Haskell Stakes. The Jim Dandy will be the race for 3-year-olds on Saturday at Saratoga. And right now we're doing this again on a Tuesday, so we don't have the entries yet. But there's 4 big names that are definitely lined up for the race: Forte, Angel of Empire, Hit Show, and Disarm. The Saturday card at Saratoga also includes the Vanderbilt Leap Power, the leading sprinter in the country. Looks like he's going to go in that. Out at Del Mar, the Bing Crosby for sprinters will be the Grade 1 race on that card. Also, the San Diego Handicap looks like they're going to get Defunded, the leading older horse in training in Southern California, going in that. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think the story here is not only just Forte in the Jim Dandy, but the Blinkers. And, he's a very good horse, but he is a horse that looks a little erratic in his races. He kind of doesn't look like he's going anywhere. He's spinning his wheels, and then he makes this late move. Looks like he just wants to run the last 16th of a mile. It'll be interesting to see what the Blinkers do. And he's another one in the conversation for who is the best 3-year-old. I'm sure Todd Pletcher is hoping for an improved effort, though nothing wrong with his race last time out in the Belmont Stakes.
Yeah, you know how we always describe Proxy as being a horse that suddenly
won Saturday at Monmouth, by the way.
Yeah, he did. Now, he didn't beat much, but he won. That's all he needed to do. But Forte has been running kind of like that. Just his last 2 races, though, I didn't really notice it in the Fountain of Youth. I didn't notice it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but in the Florida Derby. Think back, now it looks a little bit better in hindsight, but Mays just blew his doors off going around the second turn, and Forte looked to be going absolutely nowhere. And then when they straightened away, here comes Forte again, and he manages to run Mage down. In the Belmont Stakes, Forte looked like he was getting absolutely nothing midway around the second turn. Horses were going by him right and left. He was going the wrong direction. And then here he comes again. He picks it back up, and he winds up finishing second in a remarkable performance given the layoff that he had because he had to be scratched from the Kentucky Derby. Look, now that my 2 Phils is out of action, I think you would have to say, even though I've never been the greatest Forte fan, I think you would have to say that he deserves to be at the top of the heap right now among the 3-year-olds. I mean, look, he lost the Belmont. But before that, in succession, he won the Hopeful, the Breeders' Futurity, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, the Fountain of Youth, and the Florida Derby before he had to be scratched from the Kentucky Derby. So he has done nothing but win. And if the Blinkers do move him up at all in the Jim Dandy, then that's just going to be icing on the cake.
The TDN Writers Room is brought to you by XBTV. Graded Stakes winners Hit Show and Angel of Empire breezed 5 furlongs in company over Saratoga's dirt track Saturday as both horses prepare for the July the 29th Grade 2 Jim Dandy. We'll get to that in just a moment. The pair stepped on the track at 5:30 a.m. I was there. You'd better believe it. Angel of Empire ridden by Flavian Pratt, was on the inside. And he's always been a little bit better workhorse than Hit Show. Hit Show was on the outside. The thing that I did like about this work is that Hit Show can get a little bit rank in the morning sometimes. He's a very hot-headed horse. And I thought he worked very nicely alongside Angel of Empire. Angel of Empire and Hit Show like to stick together in their races too. They were last seen finishing 4th in the Belmont Stakes. We'll be right back after this message from XBTV.
All the thrills. Fraction of the bills. Experience the power of the partnership. Change your life, make new friends, and compete at the highest level of thoroughbred racing. West Point Thoroughbreds, the gold standard in racing partnerships. Visit westpointtb.com.
The TDN Writers Room is brought to you by West Point Thoroughbreds. Joining a West Point partnership can vault you into the world of instant camaraderie. Right now, Terry Finley and the whole West Point group are really in a zone at Saratoga, preparing for the Fasig-Tipton-Saratoga Select Yearling Sale for good reason. After all, it was 2019 when on back-to-back nights, West Point and partners purchased Flightline and also multiple graded stakes winner First Captain. They also buy horses privately. Don't forget that. A 2-year-old Irish filly is on the way right now to trainer Tom Morley in New York after West Point and partners bought her privately after she made an impressive debut at Nace. I know Zoe likes it when I climb way down into a rabbit hole. This filly is named Nadawesi, okay, which is the original name for the Sioux Indian tribe. The sire of Nadawesi, Sioux Nation, the Coolmore stallion right there. That's a very well-named horse and now belongs to West Point. West Point 2-year-olds are now sold out. Yearlings will be available for syndication in August. For more information, you can email Debbie Finley at debbie@westpointtb.com.
Randy, you keep coming up with information like that. I think it's time for you to demand a raise, okay?
I got to climb out of the rabbit hole first.
Hey, well, that's a wrap on this week's edition of the Thoroughbred Daily News Writers Room podcast. I want to thank my partners, Randy Moss and Zoe Cadman. I want to thank Big Money Mike Smith, the Green Group Guest of the Week, our co-editors, Katie Petruniak and Anthony LaRocca, and our editors, Leah LaRocca and Nathan Wilkinson. And where would a show be without our mascot, Lucy? Look at her. Oh, Lucy, she's so cute. And look at Randy, loves his dog. We got to love that. Goes down rabbit holes, comes up with names of the Sioux Indian tribes, Oliver Wendell Holmes, and he's a dog lover, and that's why we enjoy having Randy so much on the show each week. Thanks for catching us this week. We'll talk to you next week here on the TDN Writers Room podcast.